Freedom of speech.
What is freedom of speech? Freedom of speech is the right to express, seek, receive, impart information and ideas. We also have the right not to speak. Article 10 of the Constitution of Malaysia guarantee Malaysian citizens the right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly and freedom of association. Qualification on freedom of expression. The right to freedom of expression is not absolute. Both international law and most national constitutions recognize this freedom of expression may be restricted. Article 10, Subsection 4 of Federal Constitution. Restriction. Information Act 1957. Sedition Act 1948. Printing Press and Publication Act 1984. Communication and Multimedia Act 1980.
Defamation Act 1957. Definition of defamation: injuring a person's character or reputation by way of false statement of facts. There are two types of defamation in civil law: libel and slander. Libel is when such words are expressed in a permanent form which is usually visible to the eye, like in a book, email or picture, while slander is when such words are expressed in a temporary form, usually when spoken or made by body movements. Examples of defamatory content: crime, occupation, business, trade libel, character, habits and obligations. Elements for defamation case: protection of individual's reputation versus freedom of speech. In a defamation case, a plaintiff must prove the words used by the defendant were false, the words used specifically referred to the defendant, the words were read or heard by a third party. Online defamation apply to all media, including online media, are meant to protect not just individuals but also corporations from being affected by false allegation. Section 3 of Defamation Act 1957. For the law of libel and slander, the broadcasting of words by means of radio communication shall be treated as publication in a permanent form.
Defenses of defamation. There are 7 types of defenses for defamation case, which is truth or justification, statement of opinion or fair comment, concern, absolute privilege, qualified privilege, retraction of the allegedly defamatory statement or unintentional mistake, and public interest. There are 2 types of punishment for defamation. First is civil case, which is compensation and quantum, which depends on the damage caused to the reputation of the person suing. Second is the criminal case, which is jail of a maximum of 2 years or a fine or both.
Anwar Ibrahim vs. Dr. Mazlan Ismail. Anwar have filed the suit against Dr. Mazlan, implying that he had bribed the judiciary and the Attorney General's chambers. At the end of judiciary, Datuk Dr. Mazlan Ismail has openly apologized to Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim for making defamation accusation against the PKR president election.
Sedition Act 1948. Introduced in Malaysia in 1948 by the British as part of legal restrictions designed to silence dissent against colonialism and British rule. It is a restraining law. It tells you what not to do. Former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak on July 11, 2012 announced the repeal of the Sedition Act 1948, which will be replaced with the National Harmony Act. Then, the government hoped to present a draft of the bill to Parliament by the end of 2015. Until the new legislation is in place, the existing cases will be tried under the existing laws. Punishment under Sedition Act 1948. Under the Act, those who commit an offence can be fined up to 5,000 ringgit and or imprisoned up to 3 years. A second offence carries a sentence of up to 5 years imprisonment.
Chief Minister of Selangor vs. Azmi Sharom. Azmi bin Sharom, a law professor, was accused of committing sedition and was charged for his remarks on an online news article. In conclusion, the Attorney General Tan Sri Muhammad Apandi Ali decided to withdraw the charges against Sharom. He stated, In the interest of justice, and after examining the evidence given by the prosecution's witnesses in court.
Printing Presses and Publications Act 1984. All newspapers and printing presses must obtain an annual publishing license. Section 3. Absolute discretion to minister to grant a license or refuse any application for a license. Section 4. Offence for any person using a printing press to print any document which contains an incitement. Section 5. Offence to print, import, publish newspaper without permit and that the minister has the absolute discretion in granting it.
Communication and Multimedia Act 1998 came into operation on 1st April 1999, Act to provide and to regulate the convergent communications and multimedia industries and for incidental matters. Section 3 of CMA. Nothing in this Act shall be construed as permitting the censorship of the Internet.